All right, 18 minutes past 9. That is not me. That is Adrian Barry on your screen, but still looking good. Delighted to be joined on the line now by the Tyrone senior footballer, all-star as well, Ronan McNamee, ahead of this year's Darkness into Light, the annual fundraising event organised by Pieta and supported by Electric Ireland, which takes place tomorrow, Saturday, May 6th. Over 100,000 people will come together across 200 locations on the most important sunrise of the year as communities across Ireland rally to bring hope to people who have been impacted by suicide. To sign up to this year's event, and you still have time, visit www.darknessintolight.ie. Ronan, how are things? Good morning.
How's things, lads?
You've got the t-shirt and all on. You're ready to get up nice and early tomorrow morning?
Yeah, up nice and early, but all for a good cause.
It's for a brilliant cause, it has to be said, Ronan, and I've been reading different interviews you've done over the last week or two, and maybe for people who are unaware of just how close an issue this is to yourself, you might just give us a little bit of context. I know it's an extremely difficult thing to talk about, but maybe just for people unaware of your backstory, you might just tell us why exactly you're an ambassador.
Yeah, I was asked to come on this year as an ambassador, but it's something that would be very relatable to myself. I went through a stage maybe a number of years ago now where I was struggling with more mental health, and I had to get help to see myself out the right side of it. Thankfully, I did come out the right side of it, and as I say, it was through the likes of counselling and just a good support network and a good surrounding of good people, which helped me through my dark days. So I'm just, as I say, I was very humbled to be asked to come on and be an ambassador for it this year. And anything that I just feel like anything that I can do regards to pushing it or helping promote it in any way, shape or form, then I was more than happy to do so,
Suicide seems to be one of those things that darkens the door of most, in fact, all communities across Ireland, and I'd say all of us know someone who's been directly impacted. You had a friend that took his own life in 2014.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine committed suicide in 2014, and it was off the back of, it was like small minor details, but I remember his brother telling me one time that if Kevin had thought of how it would have impacted everybody else, he would never have done it, because he was a great fella and always doing to help other people, So, but as you say, it affects a lot of families, and it's something that's it's more spoken about now for sure, but even at that, it's probably not addressed enough in certain areas. So, regards to this campaign, it's great the way that it brings people together, and obviously promotes the fact that the sun will always rise tomorrow, So it's a case that it might be dark today, but there's always going to be a positive around the corner, so it's just a matter of hanging in there,
It's amazing how important, and this is said all the time, and it's so right, how important talking to people is, but also having an outlet. And I know when you were going through your dark period, as you say, in 2015, getting back involved with Tyrone, I know there was a period where you probably didn't want to look at a Gaelic football or go down to training whatsoever. You call Mickey Hart the Beard, and I know a lot of the lads in Tyrone call him the Beard, but how important was Mickey Hart to that process for you in terms of coming out the right side of it all?
Massively. It was massively important to how I seen things differently, because I was only seeing it through my own lens at the stage, and it wouldn't have been the clearest. So, regards to just sort of helping you get help, get in contact with the right people, and then when I was sort of deeming myself finished regards to Undercounty, I was really just didn't really want to be in that environment or was struggling with that environment. Then he was just suggesting that you surround yourself with positive people and a positive environment, and that wasn't a case that I was coming back. I hadn't initially left, obviously, but there was a stage where I hadn't been returning his calls or going to training, and he just wanted me to get back up and be in that environment where everything is being pushed for the one cause, and everybody's got the same idea and same morals, So, regards to that, there, and me seeing a positive aspect and a positive spring on things that I wasn't seeing. He was huge in, huge in maybe just changing how I looked at certain things and how I was maybe looking at life in general.
It's such an important topic to talk about, Ronan, and as long as you're comfortable with that, like, I think there'll be a lot of people around the country tuned in this morning or picking it up afterwards that will be in tune with what you're talking about there in terms of like the calls coming in and just not being of a mindset to pick it up. Or I know you mentioned obviously there about the environment that it wasn't something that you wanted in your life at that time, and I'm sure there are aspects of that apply to like Shay mentioned earlier on, to people all around us, and I'm sure there'll be people that'll be interested to know a little bit about that. Because of the impact that it has on people and the people around them. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that if you're comfortable with it?
Yeah. I was actually suggesting that the more, like for me personally, it's still not something that I would be brave enough to admit that I'm comfortable talking about, because you tend to park things an awful lot, and you park them for a reason because you're not comfortable with them situations, But I feel that the more I have been speaking about it, then I suppose for me personally, it's doing me good that I'm getting more comfortable in them surroundings, But regards to the help that I got, I was seeing a counsellor once a week for about maybe 7 or 8 months, and I would have been meeting the beard brave and often at that stage himself. He would have just met you for a coffee and a general catch up. It wasn't a case that you were bearing your soul or anything, and I don't think that needs to be the case. A lot of the time it could be somebody that's maybe just in your company, that it's not even that you're unloading on them, but if you're feeling a wee bit more secure and safer, then you might just be comfortable to speak about certain things, but as I say, for my own situation, my mum as well was a massive part of me healing, because I was initially spoke to her at the start as well to tell her, because I had cornered myself and I tried to take my own life, that it was deemed to feel like I didn't obviously take my own life, and I had no other option, but I felt if I was going to get out of it, then it was a matter of addressing it, and I felt like unloading something onto her, where it was a case that she was just listening for the first while, and then being the wise woman that she is, she had plenty of positive things to spring around it, And ultimately, whenever you strip it back, it was me leaving the county would have been terrible for my own healing, and I would have missed out on a lot of success with a good bunch of lads. So ultimately, that there, whenever you strip it back and look at that, then I made the right decision by sticking it out, and obviously not bringing anything that suicide tends to bring with it to your own front door, So loads of positives that came from it, and I'm just glad that I'm here to sort of be fit to show that there is a way around things, and that it's not all negative, and just a matter of maybe surrounding yourself with good people and in a good environment that can bring the best out in you and be the uplift that you need,
Mothers could be amazing, it turns out.
Yeah, who would have thought it, eh?
So I think people can often find themselves having those thoughts or in that position, Ronan, from a myriad of different ways. Sometimes it can be quite a sudden thing, and I know that you've mentioned already, obviously, in relation to your friend dying by suicide in 2014. Was it did you find yourself getting to that position like quicker than you had expected, or was it a bubbling up of stuff over a number of years?
I think it was probably a bubbling up of stuff. Definitely it was a bubbling up of more than one aspect, but I don't think you feel yourself getting to any situation. I just remember that there was stages, whenever I do look back, that there was stages where I could have done it more than once, But the initial one was when I had ended up cornering myself and try and take my own life. So then I felt that I needed to address it then and there, because whenever you were maybe as low as you'd been, then it was a case of either it was going to happen again if you didn't address it, or address it and work things out the right way, So I know there had been numerous, like it wasn't just an idea in the morning, but it was a slow build up of probably small things now when you're fit to look back at it, but they were massive at the time. And I didn't see any way around it other than initially I was trying to get away from home, because all my problems were dealt around your local community, regards to relationships breaking down and just petty things that were, maybe you were just getting abuse on certain nights out and stuff like that there, that were like you would have taken massively to heart, and you didn't know how to deal with them, and you couldn't park them well. And then, as I say, it was just a combination of one or two things on top of a grievance that was initially going to push you over the edge, So, and as I say, I can look back at it now and be more annoyed at myself for letting it get to that stage. But back then, that I never once thought of what it would affect or how it would affect anybody else. All I could see was through, as I say, through my own lens at that stage, and it was a blurry one at that,
And how are you doing now, Ronan?
Aye, a lot better. A lot better. But I was actually chatting to a friend of mine last night, and see the likes of it, speaking about it and stuff. It makes a lot of it still very raw. So still, as I say, still learning myself as I go, but being able to talk about it and address aspects of my own side still, then it can only benefit me. And as I say, if it benefits anybody else in the meantime, then I'm more than happy to do so, you know.
And you can be certain that there are people that will be tuned in to you this morning and listen over the next few days. I'm sure, Ronan, as well, that'll take plenty from what you're saying. It's so important that people like you, your voice of having been there and done that, and the experiences that you've had. I'm sure there'll be people that will take plenty from it as well. Are you? It's not the first time that you've spoken about it. You've done interviews touching it before. Have you found that your voice about it is resulting in people been in contact with you about it, or having that experience that you talked about, where actually just the act of speaking about it can help?
On a lot of occasions, mostly it's positive, as I say. It's something that, as I keep reiterating to, that it's not something that I'm comfortable speaking about. But I'm getting more comfortable speaking about it, and the fact that I probably didn't speak about it initially at the start just because I felt that there would be flack involved with it, because maybe it's something that's spoke about a lot more now, and you see a lot more people coming out with no one talking about it, and it can come across, people can maybe take it across the wrong way, as if it's just maybe just a publicity stunt in certain aspects, and maybe to try and get your face out there in ways, and that's why I was never comfortable speaking about it, because you were bringing attention to yourself that you necessarily mightn't have wanted. But the older you get, the less you care about the likes of negative and passive comments like that. So I'm 31 now, so it's a matter there's little that would be griping you at this stage, and as I say, if I'm fit to pass on something to somebody else that might be 10 years younger and struggling, then I'm more than happy to do so,
They're obviously difficult subjects to speak about, Ronan, so fair play for speaking out on them, and for anyone who is probably affected by some of the topics we're talking about as well. There are loads of numbers out there for contact lines 24/7 as well. Pieta provide a range of suicide and self-harm prevention services. You can free phone 1800 247 247 or text help to 51444. Samaritans as well, free phone 116 123 for anyone affected by anything that we've been speaking about this morning. Ronan, I can't believe how busy a man you are as well. I didn't realise you have all these little things going on in your life, aside from the fact that you're training in Garvahi constantly. You've got the gym business set up, that's as well as the day job, so you're a busy man. Did I read somewhere 6 in the morning you leave the house and you're maybe not back till 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah, that's the normal now at this stage. So I think I've said it a few times that the busier you are, the better it is for yourself. In ways, don't get me wrong. Some downtime at times doesn't go amiss, but I have set up. I'm in with a friend of mine in Oma. He has a wee reformer Pilates business and a physio business. So I have a wee gym in along with him, and I work with Worth Ireland during the day. So 8:15 to 5 with them, and then straight to Gavahi to run around a grass field for another 2 hours on top of that. So. But all worthwhile, all for the cause, and if it deems that you be successful at the end of it, then you'll do anything to make that.
I'm not going to slag you about the Monaghan result. That'll be a stretch too far. Although I've been biting my tongue the entire interview, I have to say. But you've had, I guess, the benefit, Ronan, and this is the thing now about the provincial championships. There's almost a benefit of getting knocked out early, if that makes sense, in terms of you've got a significant number of weeks to prepare for this round robin phase now. So just looking at Tyrone's, so Group 2, you'll be with the Connacht winner, which we assume this weekend, with all respect to Sligo, will be Galway. The Ulster runner-up, so will be the loser of Derry Armagh, yourselves in Westmeath. So looks like your fixtures are going to be away to Galway on the 20th or 21st of May. Then you're home to the Ulster runners-up on the 3rd or 4th of June, and then you'll play Westmeath on the 17th or 18th of June in a neutral venue. So how are you feeling about the group setup, and have you been analysing the prospective opponents just yet?
Obviously it's still pretty fresh, with that only being made on Tuesday, but you had a fair idea that there was going to be a couple of big ties along the way somewhere. Like you were going to do well to avoid getting a strong encounter somewhere. So obviously starting off away to Galway is going to be an extremely difficult one. But if you're to be realistic, and I'm sure every county team that's taking part is going to be realistic of making a few big shocks, and hopefully it being a long summer. So we'll just, as I say, look forward to what's coming around the corner, and it's good that certain dates and certain oppositions now. At least there was a couple of weeks there where you didn't necessarily know, so you were just maybe getting the miles in the legs at times. So obviously the Monaghan result wasn't the result that we wanted, but it was a cards that were dealt now at this stage. So just we're good to get a couple of weeks under the belt, and then readdress things, and then just, as I say, look forward to what's coming on the weekend of the 21st.
Ronan, a delight catching up with you. Hard topics over the last 20 minutes or thereabouts, but you're a great advocate for the topic at hand, and as Shane alluded to, find myself in the unenviable position of a county that you're about to meet over the next few weeks. Wishing you well for what's ahead for the summer, but thanks a million for jumping on.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Fair play. Ronan McNamee, Tyrone footballer there. Really interesting stuff.